All right.
You're not unmuted on the screen.
Not?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Bam.
Needs to have a bigger clicker button. Click stuff. I got so many lights on, I can't even see my screens. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's episode of speed painting. We do this every year, and it's super fun. I like it because I get one of my big monsters painted. This year, maybe we'll get two. We're gonna go lickety split, man. We're gonna take it to the bridge, so to speak. So here we go. Pull my camera in the way and switch to the painting area. We have got this guy. I forgot the name of this model. I am jonesing. We also have the Sand Kraken. This is the one we're supposed to be painting. This is the one we'll also be painting. Now, if you notice, there's no head on it. I am resculpting the head, so I'm not going to worry about that so much. We do have a full model that we're doing. So let me pull this back a little bit. And yeah, let's do it. Let me turn off something. Roll to move, paint cam. Which is this one? Oh, not that one. Palette cam. Adios, baby. We don't need it right now. Okay, so we're going to start by doing a sort of the old slap chop routine. I've got some dry brushes here. So a smaller filbert brush that could be a dry brush, and then a really small dry brush. These ones I got off of Amazon. They're super cheap. These ones are Artist Opus brushes. They're more expensive. They're really good though. They're worth it. They're just more expensive. And then there's Morphe makeup brushes, and they work really well as well. So, I encourage you guys to try different brands. You can even use regular like flat brushes, or this is a filbert. So it's kind of rounded this way, but flat. Those work well as well. I've also got this other Morphe brush. You'll notice some brushes are softer bristles. Some are a little bit tougher. And that will change the way they dry brush. So experiment with them, see what you like the best. And watch a bunch of artists, regardless of whatever brush you use, watch a bunch of Artist Opus videos on dry brushing, because their method, their technique is really good, and I use it all the time, and it gives me great results. So I'm going to get my little faux hammer palette. This is a dry palette, and it's for dry brushing because it has a little texture on it, and you can get your paint on and then wipe it off. Notice I'm not using a paper towel, because the paper towels will pull moisture out of your brush and make your dry brushing worse. That being said, I'm going to grab a couple paper towels. Not to use right now. Don't worry about it. Keep your eyes on swivel. Okay, so what do we need here? I need, so for this, I'm going to use neutral gray and white to start off with. All right? Sound good? Great.
Yeah.
Let's hear a huzzah from the crowd.
What?
Just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know.
It's 10 a.m. I've only been up for like 5 hours. Give me a break. So I'm going to choose. So you'll find that dry brushes, I find the bigger, the better. They just seem to work better. I think there's extra bristles that all kind of comb, if you might say, like the paint, and make it smoother and better. I have put a little bit of water on my palette. You can see it kind of shiny over here. Right by my name and my Instagram account, which if you'd like to follow me, that would be awesome. I go on there once every 2 months. No. All right. So I'm going to start dry brushing this.
Don't mess it up.
I really am trying not to. Thanks for the support.
You're welcome.
Oh, wife of mine. So what we're going to try to do, I'm going a little bit wet with this. Like I haven't taken as much paint off as I would normally when I'm dry brushing because this is our first color and I want it to go on kind of really well. Let me pull my lights in a little bit closer. So I don't want to gum it up too much. Like I don't want a solid coat, obviously, but I do want a heavier coat for this first color. And what we're looking for is to kind of neutralize everything. Oops, that's too much paint. It's okay. The rocks are going to be gray anyways. We just want to kind of neutralize all this, but leave a little bit of shadows in the shadows. You know what I'm saying? Shadows in the shadows of Brimstone. It's funny how all these things tie together, and I think the frogs planned it that way when they were designing everything. All right. I know what you're thinking. Aaron should definitely not become a comedian because he's not very funny. You'd be right. All right. So that's kind of coming together very quickly. Dry brushing is a great technique, especially if you want to get your stuff painted very fast. And using this technique, you can also make it look fairly not dry brushed as well. I think that's always the drawback to dry brushing is it always looks a little clunky. But if you do this technique with getting your brush a little bit wet, you should be fine. So, all right. Oop, kind of get through all these areas. Gonna get all that on. Okay, so that's our first coat of the dry brush with the gray, neutral gray. Remember that. Okay, oops, right up here in front. It's funny, just when I think I'm done, I see all the stuff I missed. And we'll just unload the rest of the brush in some other areas. Rock and roll, taco. And we're done. You have a gray Sandkraken. Congratulations. No. Okay, so we've got that. I am going to do something a little bit different on the... could someone help me out and tell me what this other model is? I'm just totally brain farting.
Sandworm.
Is it a sandworm? No, it's not a sandworm. Jeez. Okay, with this one, I'm using Payne's Gray, okay? I want this to be kind of a dark sandworm.
Oh, are you going to make it purple?
Yeah. I mean, no. You won't know until I get to that point where I'm making it the color I want to make it. So what this will do is where the other model we're using grays and whites basically to dry brush our mini. This one we're actually dry brushing with some color. And there will be some grays and whites at the end, but this will hopefully, when we put our contrast paints on, or our speed paints, whatever you use, it should give it a different look because there's a color underneath instead of just gray or white. Now, this may not work at all. I'm experimenting too, so, but I think it will. I think it will. If it doesn't, we'll blame Marianne.
Aw. We can blame Chris. He's in here this week.
Oh, Chris White. We're not asking him what colors to use because we all know what will happen there. It's some weird color combination that admittedly looks good in the end, but that I was not prepared for. And I usually end up crying myself to sleep late at night. So, okay, so we got that little bit of blue. I'm gonna insist on that. So insisting is when you the smack talk started.
No, it's a burrower.
Oh. Burrower.
Orange.
No. Chris, go to your room.
Okay, sorry. Go back to insisting on color.
Insisting on color. So putting the same color on multiple times works great. We will switch back. Now, to clean out your brush, if we all know if you clean out your brush completely, dunking it in water, you're gonna have problems. It will not work for dry brushing anymore. But if I just use a little bit of that water that's on my palette, one, it's kind of moistening my bristles. But two, it's starting to clean out that color that was in there. Now, to know you're doing it correctly, throughout, if you're dry brushing for 2 hours, for 1 hour, for 5 hours, your brush should always be soft. My brush is soft, so you know that it's right. I'm going to grab a little bit of this gray again. And maybe a little bit of that blue gets in the gray, but that's okay. And I am going to, oops. Look at that. You can just wipe off paint. I'm going to add this gray. On the top parts of this burrower. El burrower.
That was close. It's like a worm.
Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name burrower, but I just couldn't. I think it was when I called it a big old veiny mother before the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then that sidetracked me. This made me promise I wouldn't say that during the show, and I'm going to keep my promise. Oops. All right. So we're doing a little bit of gray. You see, we're starting to get this model in particular really lends itself to dry brushing. And you can also be thinking about textures when you're dry brushing. I'm kind of going north to south over all these cracks because that makes them show up really well. But you could always go this way, which will kind of get down in the cracks, but it maybe gives you different kind of streaking across it. So it's up to you how you want to do it. But I'm just telling you now, it's probably better to go north to south. All right. So we get a little bit more of that. I want to make sure we get it in a lot of areas. Really good. And we're going to go directly into some white. This is bold titanium white, the boldest and the best.com from Monument Hobbies. Monument just came out with a one-step, sort of like a speed paint, contrasty, their version of it. It works pretty good as well. I didn't pull those out for this show though, so maybe if I have time I'll pull a couple out and see what they look like. But I kind of have I had my colors in mind of stuff I've used before, and so we're going to stick with that. So now, see that? We're going to put this on. So I want this burrower to be fairly dark, but this main highlight can be much lighter, brighter. So the nice thing that we haven't really wiped our brush out or washed our brush off or grabbed a new brush. You could always do that when you change colors. But all the colors kind of meld into each other. So that is a good thing. You get kind of a homogeneous look to everything. I'm gonna have this light streak come all the way, all the way down. Ooh, I kind of like that. Very light. And what I'm kind of looking for as well is that the paint doesn't look super chunky and clunky, and it is not doing that, so that's good. If it does start doing that, grab some of your water on your palette, completely unload the brush, add some new paint to it, wipe it off again, and keep going. So that little bit of moisture in your brush is really, really key, and you want to make sure that you don't lose that. Right, Liz?
That's right.
That's correct. All right. So as I start running out of paint on my brush, I can go down to some of these lower areas where I don't want it super bright, but I want to kind of pick out some of these little pustule things. So tell me if I'm crazy. So I'm resculpting the front of this in a program called Blender because I want really big fangs, like kind of blah coming out. And I might still use the tongue that goes inside there, but I want to resculpt the fangs. But then I was also thinking of making little tentacle things coming out of these pustules.
Do it.
It would be super disgusting,
Yeah.
but rad.
Do it.
All right. I want to hear Chris's thoughts on that. Chris is like, got such a good imagination. It's disgusting. All right. So now that the paint's running out, I'm just kind of hitting some areas where I didn't want it super, super bold or shiny. Then I'll reload my brush one more time. It's funny, this is the side project and I'm spending more time on it, but I'm excited now. I'm excited.
Chris said I missed the question. I'm trying to get my headphones to work.
Well, I guess you'll never know then. What was the question?
Oh my god. You asked
Oh,
if it
what
was
are Chris's thoughts on me putting little mini tentacles coming out of all these little pustules? Could that be pretty gross? Gross is what I'm going for. Disconcerting. All right. Very quickly, I'm going to paint up these rocks. What if you just painted all these rocks? They're very flat surfaces and stuff. Go full Nurgle. Yeah, there we go. You could probably paint all these rocks as Darkstone because they have such flat, sharp edges. I could see them being like, like he just burrowed up through the mother lode of Darkstone. That is a lot of Darkstone crystals to paint, though. Sounds like something I would do. And then regret it halfway through because it's like, holy cow. Because once you start, you got to go full sand. You can't like be like, oh, we're only doing half Darkstone crystals. You got to go all Darkstone crystals. All right, so we got that on like that. We've got that. I am going to switch back to our white. And we will hit this guy. Now again, I'm always thinking of like my contrast. Maybe it's darker down lower or towards the back, a little bit brighter up front. So I'm aggressively dry brushing, but it's really light strokes. And then as I run out of paint, I can come back to some of these back areas to get really fine highlights. The ones that don't turn the back completely white. And then I'll come back to the front, push harder, maybe grab some more paint. like this, that. Get all this area. More white. Get all these tentacles. I ran out of white, so let's get some more. I almost feel like I need to go even brighter on this, but we'll see what happens. I think this was the Sandkraken was the first XL model I ever painted for the frogs, way back off the first Kickstarter. And I don't even remember what it looks like, so that's how long ago it was. All right, let's get in these faces a little bit. Funny, it seems like it takes forever, and it kind of does, especially if you're doing a few models. But this is the thing that takes the longest. Everything else is relatively quick, except for letting stuff dry. And quite honestly, that's why I picked a second model to work on, because we might have to let stuff dry for a little bit. And because that is the nature of contrast paints, speed paints. The trick is to put a large amount on, and so that gives them time to separate and do their contrasty speed painting thing. So I don't really care which brand you use of these colors, because it's all comes down to like what the color is. There's some really cool, I know Speed Paints comes out with new colors all the time. So does Games Workshop. I think they're always doing something new. And that's kind of nice, because there's always some new color to play with. You can mix them together. There we go. All right, so that's starting to come together. You could do a whole black and white forest. That would be kind of neat, sort of like grimdark, comic booky looking. All right. But the good news is we're coming to the end of the white, I think. Who really knows? Okay, so I've been painting for a while. Let's re-up our water on our palette. Did I even get water on the palette? Where's the water? What's going on here? I think I'm okay. Somehow I missed it. See, just a little bit of paint coming off on my fingers. All right, so this dude, I'm going to try a couple weird things here. So first off, we're going to do bright pale yellow.
Chris said, does Aaron not like the sponge water dabber thing that Byron uses?
I've lost both of mine, so yeah. I do like it, but this works just as good. And I've gotten kind of used to it. So here's the deal. I took the sponge dabber to a convention with me. I think that's what happened. Yep. And I lost it for a hot minute. So Then I was just grabbing sponges. I was always trying to do the sponge thing. Then I realized you could just put it on the palette and there you go. So I will say this, it's better to put the paint on the wood than a wet palette because a wet palette will let it get a little bit watery. Now, here's the deal. I want this to be yellow. If it doesn't look yellow, we will change brushes. I think that's looking yellowy. We can cry. We can all have a good cry. Let it out. Let it out, Chris. Let it out, Marianne.
I don't think so, Marianne, because the mat that he's using currently isn't. It's literally like a piece of wood.
It's MDF board, so if you have a laser cutter, which I know Marianne has, she can make her own. They just literally cut in a logo, like really, really finely, and that works great. You can also 3D print them if you have like a FDM printer. You can 3D print it, but I do recommend that you prime the 3D print because I tried it without that, and it doesn't have the same effect as like even the MDF. But I also prime the MDF black just because I want to be able to see what I'm dry brushing on there. So.
But also maybe I'll get Aaron to try it on an old mouse mat. Like
a mouse pad?
Yeah. But like, do you mean like the side that goes down that's kind of rubbery sticky, or like the top part of it?
As long as it doesn't absorb the paint.
Upside down?
I think is the...
So,
okay, has Marianne tried this before, or is she
no,
just...
she's asking.
Oh, for a friend?
I don't know if that would work.
You can just get a piece of wood.
Exactly, John.
All right, sometimes I just stipple, hitting it kind of hard against these rocks. Pokeroo. Oops. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what that did, but it made my highlight much brighter, which I like. Like even brighter than the white. And it gives it a little bit of a yellowy look, which I am hoping, you know, sometimes you do this. I've done this a bunch of times, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work as well, depending on the color that I'm putting over it. So we will find out how this works here shortly. So we've got that. It's pretty cool. So you see more concentrated, lighter colors up here. They fade away back here. Same here. Concentrated right here, 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 and then it also fades away going forwards and backwards, so you get some good contrast there. Let's do the front of these. How are we doing time-wise? Man, just half an hour?
Yeah,
We're
babe.
smoking. We can paint the whole core set. Not.
No, I want to paint some stuff too now.
Get this on. I find that sometimes, like, yeah, if you dry brush it, you'll see the paint go on, and then you just continue hitting that spot, and it kind of moves it around and makes it more pleasant to the eyeballs. All right. Blah. That's what this says. Blah. Okay, so this one, back to our... what is it called again? Burrower. Big old veiny mother.
Oh no, that's not what we're calling it.
So this one, I'm gonna keep this to just a couple spots. So I want this to be in the front here. Maybe go back 1, 2, 3, a little bit on the fourth. The first one I'm going wider. Second one a little bit less wide. Third one a little bit less wide. Fourth one just barely hitting.
What color was the yellow?
The best color ever invented. Bright pale yellow. It's from the Flamion Miniatures Signature series. I highly recommend that particular series. It's super good. Actually, all the Signature series from Pro Acryl are really good. The amp colors are amazing. So I'm going to go really light on this because like this curves up here and I want that highlight to like go away and then come back as it swings back out. But this I went very sort of light. So I'm just so very delicately like dragging my brush across the top. There we go. We'll do one more up here. So Pro Acryl has a bright or has a pale yellow. This one is a little bit more saturated, so it just works better. So that little bit of extra yellow in the paint makes it show up all the more better. So if you want to make your highlights brighter, add a little touch of yellow to them. Especially when you're getting closer to whitish, the whitish color. So you got to be careful. You put yellow into purple and it makes like an ugly brown. And do you know why that is, Marianne? Or Chris? Or anybody else? I'll tell you. Because yellow and purple aren't actually true complements. I know. It's shocking, but true. You put a lime green into purple and you get a nice gray, which is indicative of a true complement. That doesn't mean that yellow and purple don't work together. They do. You just got to be way more careful because they're not quite complements. Okay, so we added some more to those rocks. We'll do a little bit more in the back here. So I feel like these are really dark. All right. I'll go. We have really small amount of paint on our brush. So I'm going to come into these dark areas and just hit those little pustule things one last time to give them a little bit of pop. But there's so little paint on my brush that it's really only hitting those details and nothing else. Ah, glorious. Okay, so now we're really going to start messing things up. Okay.
In the best way.
In the best way possible.
Oh my gosh, that's so bright. I love it.
Yeah, it's the best of times, the worst of times. So if you want to see what I mean by saturated color shows up better, what color do you see the best on this palette? I'll tell you, the teal. Okay. And it's relatively, it's more of like in the same, sort of more like this neutral gray as far as like how bright it is. But the intensity of color makes it so much better. And then in a dark gaming room or your basement or wherever you're got your models, you can actually see them on the table because they've got this bright pop of color. Okay, so I'm going to try something. And I don't know if it's going to work, but you know what? I just don't care. So I'm going to add a little bit of this color into the back parts. And maybe in the shadow areas up here. And what I'm hoping is once we put our contrast paints on here, a little bit of that color will show through. Just a little bit. So Now we may do this and nothing shows through, and then it's like, oh dang, I should have did more, but we'll find out, right? So boop boop boop. All right. Put it right in there. You could see where maybe you could just color this whole thing this way. That might be kind of cool. All right. So we got a little of that teal in there. I'm going to bring it back all the way to the back. Maybe a little bit in those parts. Some of it's going on the rocks a little bit. That's okay. All right. So we've got a little color there. Let's put a little of that back here too. So we're going to be using two different color schemes on both of these models. So I don't know if this will work super good or what, but so this is going to go down in my shadows. And I'm strategically, so if you're familiar with like a Terminator line, the highlight comes around, and then where the darkness hits the highlight, it usually gets darker. And I don't know if that's because our eyes can't do the difference between the lighter color and the darker color, so the darker color actually looks darker. But then the color actually starts getting brighter as it gets deeper in the shadow. So what I'm trying to create here is a little bit of a lightness right after that Terminator line. And we're doing that with this teal color. And we'll see what happens. Put some under here. Some of these areas are a little hard to get to, but that's okay. All right, so we got that. Got that little boost of color. That kind of works. And so we're going to try to do is have this pre-paint base coat, or sort of zenithal dry brush, or whatever you want to call it, done by the 1 hour mark.
You got this.
And I know what you're saying, but Aaron, you're done. And I say no. Okay, so we got that. And now let me get our palette cam back up. And let's see. We need bright yellow. So if you were here last night, you remember my wet palette was like moving all over the place because we were hot and heavy last night, man. We were really bringing the Hurt Locker to those miniatures, or to that one miniature, and it was awesome. It was glorious. All right, I'm gonna get rid of this for the time being. Paper towel up. And we gotta see. So I'm gonna do the bright yellow because this is all that bright yellow. This is a alternate step. So if you want to one up your dry brushing madness, pick out some of these highlights, and within that highlight, just make it better with your paintbrush. This will cost you time. And if you don't want to spend that time, don't do this step because you can't do it partially. You got to go all in or be all out. See how that hopefully looks a little brighter? That looks brighter, right, Liz?
Yes.
Tell me it does.
It does.
It looks so dang bright. So see how that starts enhancing that a little bit? Let's do it right back here. And the trick here is too, I'm not doing any one straight line. They're kind of dotted in. Sometimes they all mesh together, sometimes they don't. But it gives it the feel that this skin is really bumpy and just gross. Kind of like how my legs look after all those mosquito bites. So a lot of people, this is the part they don't like, doing all the little details. But for me, this is my happy spot. And this is also what can really make or break your paint job. Now, you can wait and do this at the very end, but I mean, gosh, if we were doing a black burrower, this thing's almost done. Just saying. Like a 30-minute paint job on a burrower that looks fantastic. Like you can't deny. Don't deny it. Just try it. Now down here, I want to be really careful because I don't want it popping too much. So maybe we'll just pick out, be really selective. And the beauty of this is it just saves you time, because if we went and highlighted everything, it would take a lot more time. But if we just highlight a few things, and I think this is where our paint is our contrast paint is gonna be a lot darker. So maybe it's okay, because all this is going to get really, really covered up. Whereas at the top ones, I'm hoping show through a little bit more. And you never know. Sometimes you get unlucky and it just covers up everything. And you're like, oh, darn. But there's always a little bit showing through. And that's the important part. Get all these. I feel like right here needs to be a little bit more. All right. Something like that. We're not going to worry about anything on the back side, I don't think. Well, maybe. Gosh. This is like me last night. And I'm done. Oh, 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I'm still painting. Liz was almost in bed, and then now she's can't. Tell you, this has been a week. We are beat.
Yes.
But right after this, I have private coaching, so.
No rest for
the weary. Wickedly weary. Okay, so maybe that does look kind of cool. Maybe I'll thin this a little bit so that it's not as punchy. Do a little bit. There. Oh, I got this really good gash over here. From what I remember, I think we've only played the burrower like once in our games, because there was just so many other monsters and stuff to play with.
Yeah.
But I think he's pretty nasty. That might be why we only played him once as well. So I will kind of highlight up these scratches a little bit more. All right, so got that. Got a couple more up in here. Just kind of accentuate these little things a little bit more. Yeah, like that. The one thing I found with details, you can highlight every detail, but sometimes that's too much. You just want to highlight a few of them, and that just is more pleasant to the eye. So we'll put that to the side. We got this guy. This one's gonna take maybe a hair longer, maybe not. And we'll just start upping the ante up here, getting these highlights a little bit more popping. So something like this. This is where sometimes I wish this was like, you know, Photoshop on the computer or something. You just like do it once and then duplicate. One thing I really love about digital sculpting is the fact that I can duplicate things or reuse objects later. So something like that. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit. So we're just focusing on small spots right now. So I'm kind of almost making a double line on a lot of these. So it makes them a little bit more interesting. This is what it would look like if it was just a single line. These ones are getting a little smaller, so maybe that works. But I do like the double line in some of these. So now towards this back, we're starting to get down in like a little bit darker areas, so maybe we can dial back what we're doing. Maybe not do it on all of them. All right. That's those. Gotta get. Now, just be forewarned. There's been a couple times where I've done this, and then I put the contrast on, and it obliterates all of it. You're like, oh man, why did I waste all that time? But I think it's good time wasted. So on these little, on the rough skin up here, scales or whatever you want to call them, I'm going to just kind of lightly stipple across them up in the highlight areas. So nothing's like a brush stroke. It's all just like little sort of dots, and I'm dragging my brush around and tapping it in spots. Oops. So again, I can kind of get a little bit brighter highlight on some of these areas. Maybe these top ones get a little bit more. There we go. And there's lots of little details. Maybe just hit the tops of these ones, so it gives that shape. cool. I know what you're thinking. This probably doesn't feel very much like speed painting, but it is because we are not spending very much time on both of these. So, tricking you into doing a little bit more advanced techniques, but in a fast way. And then if you ever get to the point where you want to do some competition entries or something, you can just slow it down and you will have some really good looking models. All right, so got that. We'll go around this eye a little bit. Oops. My aim is off this morning. It's all right. All right, let's do this side real quick. And we have 7 minutes. I have 7 minutes to finish this side of the model. This is a good good thing if you are speed painting.
Give yourself time limit.
Yeah. Now, this doesn't mean paint super crappy. You just got to figure out how to go fast and be precise. So again, I'm just kind of like these if you have this model, this is very textured. So it's kind of easy to come across and just sort of drag your brush across and just hit some of the tops of those textures. It's almost like dry brushing, but with a completely loaded wet brush. So that's why you don't want to thin your paints too much with this, because they'll just flow all over the place and you lose the effect. All right. We've done 1 minute so far. That's awesome. Just hitting the very tops of things. I think what works when you give yourself a time limit is you just do what's obvious and you don't sit around thinking too much. And sometimes thinking is your enemy. I mean, obviously you want to think when you paint, but at a certain point you're like, I know where these highlights are supposed to go. It's just a matter of getting the paint on and in a way that looks pleasing and gives me the best details. So, you know, from when we started this to now, you can now see everything, whereas before it was just a big black blob. So we're starting to get way better details. We can accentuate those details by highlighting or shading them. And this is what's going to make your painting look so much better. And you can impress your friends by, you know, this week you had a unpainted Sandkraken and next week it's fully painted and it looks awesome. They're going to be like, how the heck did they do that? It took them a year to paint one hero. And the Sandkraken's done in a week. I can't believe it. It's like 3 times bigger. All right, so we'll a few little highlights right there. We'll do this. Do the edge up here. A couple of highlights in the skin. Let's highlight over here.
minutes.
4 minutes.
Then it's time to move on.
Move on out. Maybe we'll have a potty break again like we did last night. Maybe we won't. I think I'm doing all right. So do a little bit of this. Look at that. Just when you thought you were doubting me, and quite honestly, I was doubting me too.
Great.
We're right there. How many minutes?
2.
2 minutes. Can I finish these last 2 tentacles in 2 minutes? I have pretty good brush control, but if you practice, you can have good brush control too. So it's not even going to be an excuse. I'm not going to let you have that one. Let's go up here.
One minute.
All right. What if we counted off every second? That would be like so annoying. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we get to listen to a timer for 2 hours. All right. So this is this one. That's our base coat. We've got, oops. Close this off. That's what it looks like. And this one looks like this. I might actually do, I think the original Burrower was black. I might actually do something like this. It looks pretty cool.
I thought it was going to be purple.
Yeah, well, we're doing different colors on ours.
Oh, that's not ours.
Well, no, this one is ours.
Oh.
But we're doing different colors on that than the original.
Okay.
All right. So, got all this. I am going to do just a touch more dry brushing on this guy. Because I am worried that these shadows are just going to turn black when we put our darker colors on. So it's okay to go a little bit lighter because it's going to get really dark down here. All right. I think we're good to go. Clean off my brush.
Sorry, I just saw this question. Do you use different colors for the highlights depending on the contrast paint you will use to cover that part of the model?
Not generally. Usually it's white or whitish yellow. But you totally could. There's nothing stopping you. Like if you're doing orange, you could do like an orangish highlight. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You just got to be careful that it's, I mean, there's some experimentation. Like we're experimenting here with some of these other colors. Maybe we're not going to see any of that teal when we're done. I don't know. Over here, I wonder how I want to do this. So this one we started with dark blue. So let's see. So we got purple, Leviathan purple, Aethermatic blue. What would be a good highlight for Leviathan purple? Maybe nothing. Sounds great, right?
Yeah.
Bold titanium white. I think that one's really good. So it's funny. Monument has 3 different like titanium whites, something like that. And I never know which one I'm using, so I think they all work pretty good. Let's put it that way. Oh, all right. Let's bring the palette cam back. I just put a little purple on the palette, and we are going to put Aethermatic blue. So Leviathan purple is, as you can see, like really dark. The Aethermatic blue is really light. So, oops. Yeah, I did.
Whoa,
But
that looks
you can see those colors work really well together. So I think a lot of times people don't realize you can mix all these, any contrast paint. I mix contrast paint. I mix army paint or speed paint. It doesn't friggin' matter. You can mix all of them. They look really good. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to see. So you see that Aethermatic blue, when we get up into the really dark areas, it doesn't do anything, which is great. That's exactly what I want to have happen. And this color also is just sort of dyeing all that dry brushing we did blue. We do have some of the sort of teal color that we dry brushed in, so that's just enhancing that teal. Go all the way up like this, and then let's grab this Leviathan purple, and we're going to see what happens with this. This might be real. Oh man, that is like gorgeous purple.
Whoa!
Banging. Okay, see, we can see underneath it. Dun, 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 dun. And you could wipe some of it off.
No,
Put it back. All right. Let me get a little bit more water in there. All right. We'll just put it back. Good enough for government work.
there we go.
So a big brush is going to help you here. And we can move it right down into that teal. It will all blend together. Shoot. I might just leave the teal open right here and pull straight from here because I think we're going to need a bunch of it. So we'll put this over here. I don't like when it makes a bunch of bubbles. So, because you never know when those bubbles will just dry and then pop and it's a bubble shape of paint on your model, but see what we can do. We gotta paint fast. That's the hard part. So maybe we go in this direction with our brush stroke. So we're always trying to figure out which way to move your brush to get the most effective painting. So if I go with the grain of these things, I don't get nearly as many bubbles or no bubbles, which is awesome. So get right up like that. And then up here, I think this underbelly is all going to be the bluish color. So it's a little bit different than the top side. Up here, like this. There we go. Purple is banging.
Oh yeah.
Just remember this purple's super strong, so you want to maybe thin it out a little bit. What I'll do is as I get closer to the top, maybe I thin it a little bit more. And then that way, more of that highlight shows through, but it's also purpley. Maybe it doesn't matter. Man, that is really... Yeah, this works. Okay, let's gingerly add this purple.
You could throw a magenta in there too.
How dare you?
It'd be really pretty.
Magenta, purple, and teal is a good combination. I gotta move back a little bit because this model is freaking huge. So I'm grabbing from the stronger purple pile for the bottom part, and then for the top part, I'm grabbing from the little bit lighter purple pile, which then all mixes together and becomes stronger anyways. You making fun of my descriptions of the words?
I was making fun of the fact that you were like, yeah, I'm going to use the strong one here and the light one here. And then it just all mixed
Just all mixed together. It was like
really
super strong. Hey, you know, sometimes that's just how it is. Okay, so we got that on. That was pretty fast, right? Good, effective use of our colors. Now we're going to do this one. Oh, shook water all over myself. So this is Militarum Green contrast paint. I'm not going to pull from my wet palette, so I'm just going to turn it off again. So we have a little bit more room here. A little more room to party.
You need your
I don't know what I'm...
pink cup holder.
My who? Oh, do I have them here?
They're somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll look.
I think they're all put away in the garage, which is a really dumb place to have them. Okay, so I've got Mantis Warrior Green. I'm also going to grab this Contrast Bad Moon Yellow. That was so close. So close. All right, so this color is going to go down here. So it looks like it kind of obliterates our teal. So I'm just going to I added water to my brush. And now I'm going to move this paint around because it's a little bit watered down. Like that. And then we'll go Mantis Warrior Green up here. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I think I put the whole bag out in the garage in my class minis thing for trade shows.
Then, yeah,
It's gone. It's lost in the warp.
You'll have to... I guess I'll have to print some more.
Yeah.
Sad day.
There we go. So I add a little bit of yellow to that. Just put it right on top, and then that makes the forehead a little bit more bumpier. More better. We'll do the same thing over here. I think this time I'm going to put the Militarum Green on in a smaller area, and then we'll do the Mantis Warrior up here. Pull it back into the Militarum. Maybe add a little bit of water, wipe some of this off with our fingers.
Hector says, I have a group of friends that paint minis and they call themselves the wash spillers.
That is, yeah, it sounds about right. So you can see some of these colors that are a little bit lighter, brighter, they let the base coat show through a little bit better. So digging that. Get a little bit of yellow up here. All right, there's that part. I guess the green should just keep going. Let's go. How should we do this? I'm thinking too much. That's not indicative of speed painting. Don't think, just do it. I hope those guys have t-shirts and everything. That would be appropriate.
With wash stains on them.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Just completely obliterated. Okay, we got that. I'm playing with fire here. But might as well have 4 open bottles on my table. You can start the betting pool now as to which one, if not all of them, I will spill during the stream.
It's either going to be the teal or the yellow.
Or to win a whole bunch of money, I don't spill any of them.
I know you too well.
You never can tell, can you? Just adding some little colors here and there to other parts. So what's funny is now that I basically have 3 or 4 different colors on my paintbrush. I don't know exactly what's coming off. I'm grabbing this Mantis Warrior, but I'm also seeing teal come off sometimes. A little bit of yellow comes off my brush at times. So it's just kind of pretty cool that I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And, you know, sometimes I feel like my painting's better for it when I don't know what's happening. What the heck is going on here? Maybe we go a little more teal into here. Maybe these things are tealish. There we go. Maybe a little bit more teal down in here. Grab that teal. We're just, it's a Teal Tuesday on Saturday. All right. Bring this forward. A little bit of yellow up here. Yellow.
I like the yellow.
Yeah, the yellow really does a lot of good work for us. It's just so strong, which is surprising for a see-through yellow color. And very much appreciated. Peace be with you. All right. That's looking kind of cool. Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yeah, I like it.
It's all right. Let me wash my brush out real quick. Okay. So I think we've got all the green we want on there. Or dark green for now. Close that up. Because I'm terrified. Close that up. Close this up. What do you have? A bunch of closed things.
Was that teal?
Nope.
Oh, okay. And you were
Really playing with fire here.
seriously. Whew.
Heck yeah. This is the best color ever made. It's called Nasdaq Yellow. It's not really yellow. It's like brown. But it's very yellowish brown. Ah, look at that. It went from teal to brown. I'm in love. Sorry, Liz.
Wow.
Nasdaq wins.
Getting left by paint.
Yes. You have to be really careful with Nasdaq because it is overpowering. But look, It's like lets all those highlights right through. No problem. No problem, drill sergeant. And then do I want to go darker brown? I think I do. Go Fire Slayer. We'll turn it a little bit reddish, which will work. It does work with the green, but it works more so with the teals that are in our green. So we'll just make these back ones darker.
You have about 30 minutes left.
That's pretty cool. Let's see. We'll bring this guy back into the picture. See if we can't do a little bit of this. Because he did just burrow through a bunch of dirt and ground. I tried to mix the words ground and brown together.
Oh my god.
Kabround. This, you are witnessing the culmination of a very busy week coming to fruition on a Saturday morning. Let's go. Changes the color just a little bit. I think that works. You know, technically this dirt would be everywhere, but I think maybe kind of keeping it to pockets is better. I think it would definitely be in these, in between the two different kinds of skin, the top and the bottom. And then there would be a little bit up in here in spots. Again, if you're going more for display quality, you want to slow your roll down a little bit and just put it in the spots that you want it. Or maybe blend it in a little bit better. But this, you can put it on, wipe it back off. Doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. All right, got that. I am going to put a little bit of this down in our rocks. Put it on, get a wet brush, move it around. Put it on, move it around, wipe it off. You can do all the things, doesn't really matter. We can always come back and re-dry brush over this a little bit. So, you know, tone it down, tone it up, whatever we need to do.
Hector, he usually paints. It kind of varies week to week. Sometimes he'll paint like 10 models in a week. Sometimes he'll get through one. It just depends on what the workload is and how detailed the figures need to be for commissions.
Kind of digging how this one looks. Now, for your game of Shadows of Brimstone, I think that this is more than good. Oh, we have a ton of time. Holy cow.
Well,
Sweet.
It ends at 11:50.
Oh, well, they just say that.
Oh,
That's just a suggestion.
okay.
If I was doing it, if I'm gonna do it for myself, I would probably take another session of putting extra final highlights on here. Let's get the eyes put in. But for all intents and purposes, like this could be passable. Like we spent a lot of time before we put color on. So, it's not like we didn't detail things out, because we did. But you can detail things out again in this way. I like detailing things out before, because then when you put the colors on, it looks like, all those highlights are blended different colors and stuff, when they really weren't. They were just, our final highlight was just this pale yellow, bright pale yellow. So it's kind of like what you want to put into it. I can't remember the original Sandkraken's eye color. I think it may have just been black. That was back when the frogs just really liked black eyes for some reason. I mean, it is kind of soulless looking, which is cool. But you could also make a kind of a cool looking eye. You can give it a dragon eye or a stink eye. No, we don't want to do that. So we got that. Now I start to see all the spots where like I missed the old contrast paint there. So we can just come back in, fix that. Oops. Very cool. I could totally live with this on my tabletop, for sure. So if you follow us at all on Miniature Monthly, our Patreon, Matt DiPietro primarily paints this way, especially for gaming models. He calls it his oh shoot, what does he call it? My brain is just melting down here.
It's okay. I can't think of it either.
Yeah.
It's grisaille.
Yeah, it's a grisaille, but he has a name for it. And I'm just failing here completely.
We are brain dead. We've only been home for a week. Sketchy style.
Sketch style. Yeah, there we go. The sketch style. Yeah. Super rad. Very quick, effective way to paint miniatures. He uses a lot of inks and stuff instead of like contrast paints, but same deal. Super good results and very, very quick. So got kind of that going on there. Maybe this is gonna be Does not want to cover completely. I've kind of been thinning out this paint because I don't want it to go on so clumpy, you know, it's got to be pretty smooth. Sometimes you just got to pay the piper and hit it 14 times. Looks pretty good. We'll go satin black. Hope that that's dry enough. We'll give them kind of like dragon eyes, maybe. All right, got something like that. A little bit lighter up on top. And, all right, dry eyes. How on earth should we do this? Oops. Oh man, we almost had a spill there. Now everyone's just waiting for it.
Yep.
I'm going to feel really bad if I can't oblige you guys. Shoot. Of course, a little of that black came off. That doesn't look too bad. Kind of putting that color on, wiping my brush off, or cleaning my brush off, getting the yellow. A little bit more yellow. Poop.
Is the red also a contrast, or is it a glaze?
Yeah, it's a red Magmaroth flame. So kind of orangey.
Is it contrast paint?
Yes. Yes, it is. Very good color for like fire effects and stuff, for sure. I don't know what I was expecting putting it over the black. but I should have known that the black was not dry completely. I wanted to kind of set it into that, but then you got those eyes, just sort of wee beady eyes looking back at you. All right, we got plenty of time. Let's just keep going. So I use the contrast yellow with a little bit of that pale yellow. And do we want to use that? Let's just do a test somewhere. So this is the brightest color. So we are really, really barely putting it on. So the good news about that is this color will go on fairly quickly. Yeah, that looks cool. Bam. Experiment. Not a failure. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. See how quickly that just bumps it up? Let's go down here. Now we might have to change this color as you go around the model. And also maybe not, who knows? That looks cool. Looks super cool. Super duper. Just kind of dotting it in like that. You know, it's funny, I think we can kind of stop this color like right somewhere between these little scales here. And then just let the natural, whatever we had done before, take over. So that gives us good focal point right around the eye. Yeah. Not too shabby. Let's do this up here, maybe on these things. So again, this is a less is more situation. The more of these highlights you put on, the less you have. So we'll just do that. Do this on here. This is where I hit my Zen mode, just disappear into myself, which I'm trying really hard not to do here in the class because that'll be really boring for you guys. Then you shut up for like an hour and just paint it, which maybe that would be a good thing. I don't know.
I was about to say, I think some people would like that.
Yeah. God, this guy just won't shut up. He just keeps talking.
But I think it also would be boring.
It would. And also, I'm kind of explaining what I'm doing. So, the madness within.
Yeah, that's the important.
Yeah, not so bad. Not so bad at all. Do some of these down here. Now I'm trying to hit the little ridges of the wrinkles, but at the same time I'm not super worried about that. You know, if this makes a new wrinkle, where there isn't one sculpted, who cares? It all works out in the end. And as I'm running out of paint, I can do some of these ones that are going up. We need some wrinkles up in here. These ones really got lost, but I don't think I painted them either when we were doing the initial sketch, so I'll just paint them in and then let them fade to oblivion. And check this out. Maybe we can do a little trick here. So I made that first highlight using contrast yellow and then the pale yellow. So let's try the same thing with aromathic blue. Oops. And sorry, I did not have my palette cam on. So this was the contrast yellow mixed with the pale yellow. This will be that. Makes this really, really light, creamy looking aromathic blue. Maybe I'll put a little bit more in there. You could also do this with regular paint, but I figure why don't we just use the same paint that we were using for in the contrast. Oops. So maybe it's like a little bit pre-thinned, you know, so it plays a little bit better with the color underneath. Blends in a little bit better. Let's get a little of that up on here. We'll do some little scratches on this. So this is looking pretty good, and I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was pretty friggin' easy. Obviously, as you're doing it, maybe you're going to have maybe a few more problems than I had. I have pretty good brush control, and I have 20 or 30 years of experience. I don't know what it is anymore.
You're like at 30 now.
Ay, ay, ay. Put some little ones up there. For just, up on here. A couple of these we'll get pumped up. Let's do some stuff back here. It's almost look like little rocks back there. So I'm just highlighting them up a little bit, but leaving them as dark as possible. So this just pulls out some of those colors, makes it a little bit easier to view.
Hector, it's definitely 30 years because I think when Tim and I got together, it was at 20 years that he had been doing this. So
I started in the end of 1999, but I did paint when I was a little kid too, so not anything like this.
End of 99, Aaron.
It's 26 years.
Yeah, we're almost at 30 years.
Well, you can hem and haw all you want. There, my little Lolita. All right, what do you think of that? So that little highlight back here kind of brings up all those things. Do we want to kind of make that banging? Why not? They say. That's what they say.
8 minutes.
Give me,
Is it me?
give me a challenge there, Mama.
I thought you said you were gonna paint the other one too.
What other one?
The burrower.
Oh, this is the main one I'm painting. The burrower I just did to show an alternate. The finishing that one, I can't finish both of them. Come on now.
Oh, I had so much faith in you.
Well, and I ruined it,
You
didn't I?
let me down.
Well, you can always complain to Scott.
Scott, Aaron let me down.
You know that free class Aaron taught? It was such a letdown.
He didn't finish the burrower
Yeah.
that he wasn't supposed to paint.
Yeah, Scott was probably like, that was for next year.
It'll be alright.
It'll be all right. All right, so now I'm kind of looking through the contrast paint to find where that original highlight was. Now I'm enhancing it. The little bitty brighter highlight right on top of it. And you know, Liz, not to toot my own horn.
Toot toot.
We could be like a radio show. You have the sound effects going there. Me. Oh my gosh, I have like super knobby knees. And our little niece that we watched during the week, she discovered the knobs on my knees, and now she pushes it and goes beep beep. It's so funny. Me.
So wait, what were you tooting your horn about?
Oh, this looks really good, I think.
It does.
Maybe it doesn't.
Great.
Does it not look good?
I think it looks great.
It looks great, yeah.
Do y'all think it looks great?
No, they're disappointed.
Oh. What else is new?
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
It's my job. Who all's going to Gen Con? Who all's going to Dice Fest? That's what I want to know.
Hector said, I love watching you paint. You inspire me to paint. Thank you very much. This was awesome. Looks great.
That's great.
Glenn says it looks great. Marianne said, not disappointed.
All right. Well, that's good.
Awesome.
You know, it's always funny doing these live shows because, like I kind of had a clue. Like I wanted to use. Okay, coming into this class, this is the color I wanted to use, and then I grabbed those other colors, thinking, okay, this will probably work. But you never know. I mean, it might not work. You know, like so. It's always a little bit scary, but it's always a little bit exciting too, to see it come together. There we go.
Marianne said she will not be at either because she's got a summer garden and a new puppy.
There you go. Well, that's okay. We'll forgive you this time, Marianne. Maybe.
So she's got 5 dogs and 2 cats, so time away from home is a problem. Understandable.
We were just away from home for a month, so we get it. It was too long.
Yeah, that was. Oh, that was too much.
But it was awesome. Don't get us wrong.
It was awesome. But I am a homebody.
That's right.
I like being at.
All right. So what do you guys think? I think that looks pretty good.
I think it looks good.
How many minutes do I have? I have 4 minutes left. All right. Let's go into here. Let's do this. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that yellow in there, which technically shouldn't have worked, but it did. With how dark that purple was, I was expecting it to go a little bit brown. It's a little bit brownish, but I think it'll work. So let's do this color down low. That, see, we start getting those little nuances of color really low in the darkness. In the darkness of my soul. So I'm trying to go fast, so I'm kind of just doing streaks. But if I was going slow, I might kind of dot these in so they look a little bit more natural. We got like 4 minutes, yo. This ain't Burger King.
What? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Can't have it your way?
Yeah. See, the important thing here is these highlights need to have some color in them, or they don't show up nearly as well. If I go full bright pale yellow, it will show up, but it might be too strong as well. But I think having a little bit of purple in these helps so much. Let me tell you.
Tommy said, really inspiring session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tommy. Tommy is friggin' killing it, by the way.
I bet.
Yeah. He's an amazing painter. There's a lot of amazing painters in this community, but I always like when I see Tommy's work, for sure. I know he's put a lot of time and effort into it. Same with like Marianne and not so much Chris.
You better leave Chris alone.
Chris knows I love him. Chris, if you didn't know, also does some studio work for The Frog, and he does really amazing paint jobs. So give him a shout out.
Chris said, you are the wind beneath my wings.
I am the root beneath his toot. I don't know. Oh. It's kind of cool. Sometimes you can do a highlight down the bottom of these cracks. Because technically that is just flat surface and it's shining back up. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Or suspicious. Whatever. I can go as far over as I want ever.
You can't. You have a private coaching code.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about that. Yeah. All right. Well, for those of you who don't know, I do private coachings too over on Miniature Monthly, the Patreon. We also have them single sessions on miniaturemonthly.com. So if you're looking at getting some one-on-one critiques of your work or whatever, feel free to sign up for a class or 2 or 7 or whatever you want. All works out. But yeah, so see, that's starting to work out pretty good. Putting some of those darker purple lines down here definitely helps you see a little bit into the darkness. And then I would probably do something like this. Maybe some of these little teal ones. Pop out a little bit of light on them. That looks cool. This may need to be a little bit darker teal, but that being said, maybe it looks okay the way it is. Go up here. Like right here. And probably I would, we put some of that Nasdrag yellow in the bottom areas. Maybe I would add a little bit more, some more dirt looking stuff, which of course, I do have this stuff, warm brown. It's a darker brown, but because it has a little bit of orange in it, maybe a lot of orange in it, it shows up pretty good in the darkness. So thin it just a hair. I'm going to use this brush as my taker offer, and this brush as my putter oner. So I put some of this on. Big old blob. Taker offer brush. Is it slightly damp? And I can just erase it and move it all around. Maybe move it all the way up into here. And that, as they say, is that. So I can put as many layers of that on as I want. And I can also maybe use a couple other shades of brown as well, just to make it so it's not all the same color. Yeah, let me do a big old blob down here. Let me just say, if you guys are at Gen Con, or I'm also going to be teaching at Nova Open. Gen Con, I just do the Flying Frog booth, so you can come and talk to me as long as you want. And I really enjoy that because it gets really lonely there. You know, you're in the middle of a room of thousands of people. Liz has forsaken me once again. No, Liz got stuff to do. She got a baby to take care of. She got a little niece to take care of. That niece loves her so much. But so that just means I got more time to cry in the booth, and the frog hates that because they're like, you know, come on, you gotta look like you're enjoying it being here. But anyways, I would love to talk to you if you swing by.
Marianne said at least your waste basket is safe.
That's true. That's true. Marianne has proven that you can throw up in my booth as well. And I'm still friends with her years afterwards. So it all works out. I think that's one of the greatest Gen Con stories ever told, because it's just so funny that, you know, we've been friends for over the years, but that's literally how we met. Was her puking in my, like, sitting down next to me, puking in my spot, and I was just still doing demos, and you know, I was like, okay. It was awesome. It was totally cool, but I'm glad we were there for you. It would have been worse if you had just been in the aisle. so it all works out, right? Okay, so that's this. Obviously, I will spend a bunch of time detailing out the edges and everything, and maybe putting in even a little bit, highlighting up a little bit more. Let me show you just what it looks like with the almost pure pale yellow. Maybe we just put that in a couple little chunky monkey spots up here, right in the middle. There.
Perfect.
And then obviously think of this giant maw with huge teeth, all that good stuff. It'll be awesome. When I sculpt it, which will be at some point. Anyways, thank you guys very much. Here, let's take another look at this one. Didn't get to the backside, but this is what it looked like if you just went, hey, we're gaming with this. This is fine. I think it looks great. This looks amazing. Oh, you know what? Let's just put a little dot for our specular highlight. This is like the sun or whatever our light source is. Just poking right here. We do a double dot. We'll do a double dot over here. I totally rubbed off the black paint right there, and we're just going to pretend like we don't see that. We can pretend even less now because it ain't there anymore. So there we go. There we go. Rock and roll taco. Very cool. Right on. Well, thank you all for coming out and stuff. Let me roll this up so I can,
See?
well, I guess so you can see me or I can see you. We'll see somebody. And yeah, thanks a lot. We'll see you at Gen Con or Nova Open, or maybe you come do some private coaching with me, or you come check out Miniature Monthly and watch some of the videos. We have lots of them. And yeah, thanks for showing up. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.